Hey everyone, I'm Amber from It Again Bookstore, and you're tuning into our live author events series that we're doing currently. And we're here today with Wisteria Rose, and she's going to tell us about her new book, Mythomania. And so do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about what it's about?
Sure. So Mythomania is about a girl named Isla, and she's 19, fresh out of high school. She doesn't go to college. She's kind of just drifting about in life, but she's this really big fan of this K-pop group called OT2B. So everything's normal until one day there's this live stream that her favorite member in the group does. He makes a live stream announcing that he's dating someone to the whole world. And she's very excited for him, and everyone's very excited until he announces that she is his girlfriend, but they've never met. So everything is chaos after that.
Yeah, and so while you were writing this book, do you have like a favorite scene that you enjoyed from it that you'd like to tell the audience about?
Yes, actually, most of my favorite scenes fall towards the end of the book, but probably my favorite writing-wise would be in the very beginning where Isla is in the first time? No, in Korea for the second time. And she and Jaemin are down getting something to eat. And they're like sharing a sandwich and a soda and everything like that. I really enjoyed writing that because to me, it feels like you can really understand how far gone Jaemin is. He goes from 0 to 100 so quickly, especially in the beginning of the novel. And she's so creeped out by it. So that was so fun for me to write that scene. I remember that one explicitly. That was really, really fun.
Yeah, and so Jaemin was definitely my favorite character as he like grew, and I liked the switch personalities he had. So who is your favorite character in the book?
Also Jaemin, because Isla to me I feel like is the most relatable character, but because she is not as challenged, well, she goes through a lot of stuff, but she's more of a normal person in general. So she has her moments that are really fun to write, but Jaemin, because he's so eccentric and so all over the place, he's really fun for me to write and to come up with things. And sometimes, well, when I was writing, I would go, how would he do this? Or how would he do that? So that was really challenging for me. And what really pushed the story through was his personality. So he's definitely my favorite character. I'm super biased.
Yeah, I loved him too. And I liked all the members of OT2B. I thought you did a great job developing them all and giving them all unique, different personalities. So besides Jaemin, who would your favorite character be, like, from the group itself?
Actually, Woojin. Like, he isn't in a lot of scenes. He's more quiet, but he's very observant. He really likes to understand what's going on, and he cares very much about the other members in the band, probably more than anyone, honestly, just because he's the youngest and they've been together for so long. So Woojin really pulls on my strings, and I was wanting to put him in the story more, but of course, because it centers around Jaemin and Isla, that's kind of where the center had to go. But Woojin is a sweetheart. So that's also why the thing that happened, because he's my favorite. So I always put my favorite character through something tough.
Yes, he was definitely my second favorite character as well. And a quick question about the book title, Mythomania. Can you tell us what that actually is medically as a disease?
Yes, here, let me look up the definition really quick so I can, I don't want to butcher it. But when I choose titles, I like to choose something that is more interesting that you wouldn't really know. So Mythomania is is another word to say pathological lying, which if you've read any of the book at all, Jaemin is a pathological liar. It's how he copes with things. So and it also, it's just the compulsive urge to tell a lie about matters big and small, regardless of the situation. So he does that for everything, especially in the first half of the book. So I thought that would be a cool title to pull in because people choose different titles. Some name books after their characters or after locations or anything like that. But I wanted mine to be a little vaguer. I've had a lot of people say, oh, I picked up this book because I didn't know, what the title was. And I was kind of intrigued by that. So that's how I came up with that.
Yeah, when I first saw the book cover, I thought it was a really cool cover, and I was like, "Oh, what's Mythomania? I gotta know." And so, did you actually get to choose the cover yourself?
I did. I worked with a great designer. Her name is Christina Hack. I saw her. Well, I saw her. I mean, I found her on Instagram, which a lot of talented artists and everything are there. And she always has such beautiful covers. So I
Oh
had
yeah.
her custom this for me. And she did the interior design as well with the black pages. But I wanted, my biggest gripe for the cover was I did not want people on the cover. To me, I don't like covers with a lot of people, especially if they're just photographs. It kind of feels like a
Yeah.
cop out. And with Mytho being so hazy and all the character and their motivations being a little unclear until later in the story, I wanted it to have that kind of fuzzy effect to it. So I think she did a brilliant job.
Yeah.
But I think she did like a wonderful job with everything. So yeah, she did all of the spine work and everything.
Yeah. And so now just go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. So where are you from, and where did you go to college? And most importantly, who's your favorite K-pop group, as Kim asked?
Okay. So I originally am from Alabama. I was born in Birmingham, but we moved to Georgia in 2012. So I've been here for a while, and I live in North Georgia. And this August, I'll be starting at Georgia State. So hopefully,
Oh yeah.
if everything goes well, then I'll be at Georgia State.
I definitely feel that right now.
Yeah. And my favorite K-pop group is BTS.
Oh yes, and I'm supposed to be going to their concert, and it got postponed, and so I'm really.
Me too.
It'll hopefully everything will be all right. All right, and so another question: who were some of your favorite authors growing up? Who inspired you?
Growing up, well, when I was younger, I kind of read anything that was free on Amazon, so I didn't really follow a lot of authors until I got probably into high school. I didn't really read, like, I've never read Harry Potter or like any of the big middle grade books. Those weren't really my thing. But yeah, my favorite author at the moment is someone called S.K. Munt. She has this really, really like fascinating series called the Eden Chronicles that I'm in love with and I have been in love with for years. So she's my favorite. And then I also really enjoy a few more popular authors like Victoria Aveyard, and I read the Hunger Games series and all that sort of stuff that got really popular.
I was really into that as well. Okay, and
Those
so
are
now,
good days.
oh yes, yeah, and I even had all the fan accounts, and I was all over that. It was an era. All right, and so back to your book. What did you research your book? Have you actually ever been to Korea?
I have not. So that's something that was really, I wanted people to really understand that I took a lot of liberties for certain things. Like another one of my favorite scenes is in the bathroom where she's really upset with him and storms off to the bathroom to have a moment alone. And of course, he does not let that happen. Here in the States, unfortunately, we have like large gaps between the doors and the floors in America, which doesn't really happen or else. So I knew that was odd to put in the story, but because that scene was so important to me to showing his character development, I decided to just like gloss over that. But I wanted to be careful not to focus too much on Korean culture because I didn't want to get anything wrong since I'm not part of it and have never been. So I put like a handy dandy little like kind of disclaimer statement in the beginning that's like most of this is fiction. So I did take some liberties with that. I wanted it to be obvious that they were in Korea, going to like Myeongdong and the Han River and stuff like that. But I didn't want to focus on anything that was like too cultural.
Yeah, I thought you did a really good job of that because I saw your references, how you described how like they have their different closets, which I thought was really cool. I never thought about that, like, about all the clothes they have to change into and how they went to Lot World. Yeah, or Lot World. I'm not sure, but like if I ever go to Korea, I want to go to amusement parks.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a perfect place.
Yeah. Following K-pop has been really helpful for that because they'll show locations and stuff. And I've seen several different idol groups go to Lot World, and that seems like it would be a lot of fun. So, of course, I had to include that in there. And then also just knowing kind of which cities are really big. Jaemin's from Busan because that's like the second biggest city in the whole country. A lot of idols are from Busan. So I wanted to kind of implement a little bit of stuff like that.
Yeah. And when did you get into K-pop?
2016. right in like October of 2016. I had listened to a few songs before, but I didn't really know anything about K-pop as a genre. I was like, oh, here's this song that I really like listening to. But 2016 is when I fell down the rabbit hole, and we've been through it since.
Yeah. That was my year as well, and it like opened up a whole new world for me. And another question I have is, if you were to tell someone who's never listened to K-pop or doesn't really like it, what would you tell them about the effect that it's had on your own life personally?
Ooh. So K-pop has this really unique ability to bring people together. Like, for example, my best friend, when I met her, and before I found BTS and K-pop and everything like that, she was into heavy metal. Like, that's what she was into and everything. And it had a very bad effect on her personal life. I know it doesn't for a lot of people, but for her personally, it wasn't very good for her. So, but it gave us something to really bond with, since we weren't, didn't have a lot of stuff in common, but it brings so many people together. I've met fans and different people from all over the world. You talk to so many people, you write letters to them, you find different talented artists and writers and editors and everything. So it really brings a whole huge community that I don't think no one else really has that ability.
Yes, yeah, so I think the same thing. A lot of people. Oh yeah, like I also went from listening to like hard rock and all the emo stuff into like listening to this music that talks about loving yourself, and it was a whole new thing, and I really enjoyed it. And Kim actually has a question. She says, do you have any favorite K-dramas?
My favorite K-drama. I watch a lot. It's probably She Was Pretty. I think that one's really, really sweet. Anything with Park Seo-joon in it, because he's really attractive. So any of his dramas are really good. W is also really good, and Harang is really good, and it hurts. But all K-dramas really like hurt your heart. So those are really good.
Yeah, my favorite was Strong Girl Dwangsun, and then I also liked, that one was one of my favorites, and then I think it's I'm Not a Robot. Yeah, so those were my favorite too. Those also have a big impact. As you said, they're all really sad. I cry through all of them, but it's fine. All right, and then I have another question. Let me find it. Are any of your characters inspired by real people, or based on, or did you get their characteristics from any of your K-pop biases?
Yes. So, in case you did not know, Mythomania started off as fan fiction, and I do write a lot, just original and fan fiction stuff, just because I enjoy taking part of that community. But the storyline, like the actual plot of Mytho, I thought was one of the best things I've come up with. Not to sound like conceited or anything. So I really wanted it to be something more than that, So I really came, and then I took certain aspects of certain characters that would really like make it more realistic, in my opinion. And then I've also based characters' names and stuff on people that I know personally. So just to kind of mix it all together and impact stuff, like Isla's Aunt Rue, she's based on on my great aunt, because that some of her personality, like that final push to go and do something with her life, is really based on my aunt. And so I think it's easier if you pull characteristics from people that you know, even if you don't know them personally, to kind of, because humans are so well like rounded and have more than one face. If you pull aspects from certain characters and stick them together, I think they become more realistic.
Yeah, definitely. And Aunt Rue was another one of my favorites. I loved her. I loved her attitude and her personality. It was great. She wasn't in too much, but I loved the way you developed her. And then what would you do in this situation that the main character's in? Like, if you were suddenly kidnapped by your bias, what would how would you react?
I will tell you now, Isla is a much better person than I am. Because I would have been gone so quickly. Like, she has such a big heart, and is really what's, makes her character and makes the whole story possible. It's because she's so loving and caring, even though she hasn't had the best life her own self. But I would have been gone so fast. It would have been right when I saw that live stream. I would have deleted everything. Everything would have been deleted. I would have went to hiding. It would have been like, it's fine. I was just going to pretend it didn't exist. So I definitely wouldn't have stayed there, especially because it's such a scary situation, especially in the beginning. I definitely would not have been there.
Yeah, and I thought about it too, and I was like, maybe I could put up with it, but then I definitely don't think I could have done it. So it was really big of her to stay there. She does have a bigger heart than me. I would have left. Maybe stayed for the money, but who knows?
Yeah, she did get paid a lot of money. I didn't say specific, but she's very well off now.
Yeah, and so my last question is, if you are talking to someone who wants to write their own book or has a fan fiction and wants to get it published, what would you tell them?
Never give up, because that's the main thing. You have so many people who will tell you what your art or your creativity is worth, and no one can really know that except for you. There's been so many like amazingly uplifting people in my life that I know online and in person that have really pushed me to go do this. But there's also been quite a few people who, I'm not going to say haters, but people who, for whatever reason, don't think you should do it, or don't think you can do it, or, don't think you're good enough. But just to know your worth as a writer and to push through, it's going to be hard. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And honestly, there are still some things in Mytho that I wish I had done better or developed better or anything like that. So it's never going to be perfect, but as long as you try and put it out there, then you can say that you've done something.
Yeah, and do you have any plans of writing any other books or hoping to get any other fans developed? Yeah, do you want to
actually? Yes. So I wrote this. I like writing series. I won't say series, but like stories with multiple parts. But I also like writing just really short stories that are only maybe like 2,000 words or something like that. And I wrote one, I think about a year and 4 months ago, something like that. And the concept really resonated with people, and it really resonated with me. So I'm going to be writing a book about soulmates in an alternate universe, and it all goes terribly. But the story is going to be called Cut, and I'm working on it now. I'm starting the draft, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, and do you know when it'll be out, or when you'll hopefully have something done?
Hopefully, I mean, with all this free time we all have, I'm going to be working on it a lot. Hopefully 2021 or 2022. That's what I'm planning right now. But with college and everything, I'm not sure. But that's my goal, is to get out another one in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and what's your college major?
Oh, I'm actually a Japanese/Asian studies major. So, yes.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, and do you hope to travel abroad one day and like see all the places that you've always written about or dreamed about?
I really want to, since I'll be studying abroad in Korea for part of my major, not in Korea, in Japan for part of my major. Korea is a very short flight from there, so I would love to go and see those places really, and I think it would even, strengthen the story just on a personal level to me.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, and I just wanted to let anybody who's watching know, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them. And I do want to thank the author for coming and doing this live stream with us today. It was wonderful.
Thank you very much.
And do you have anything else you want to tell your audience about while we're still up?
Just thank you for reading it. That's so it's so bizarre to me to even see on your bookshelf that my book is there. That's so weird to me. And I've had people send me messages that they've got it and they live in London and Portugal and Indonesia, places all over the world. So that's really impactful for me. So just thank you for checking it out, and thank you for reading it. And if you do read it, please leave a review for it. That helps indies out a ton. And I just hope you like it. I hope you enjoy the story of Jaemin and Isla and their ups and their downs and everything like that. And please do check out Read It Again. They have it there. So
yes.
Yeah,
I read it and I loved it, and it was really good, and I definitely cried near the end. Not gonna lie. So, yes, it's definitely one of my favorites.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right. So I just wanted to thank everyone for watching, and thank you to the author. And you can always come in and buy the book at the store. We'll have it. And so thank you, everyone. Hope you're doing well.